Greetings, everyone. Back in my favorite green chair, and I know it's been a while since I've sent a message to you, and that's long overdue. Definitely wanted to keep this going, keep just the thoughts from the Lord that are coming to me. I want to make sure I convey those to you as well. So I wanted to take a short time this morning and share with you something that at work I was using with my guys. One of the things that we have as an assignment, the counselors, are to go onto our blocks and to make sure that our guys are doing well, that they are not, even though they're not allowed to have much movement, very little movement in and out of their cells, just to go around and make sure that they're doing well, see if they need anything. And one of the things that I've been doing is finding good reading materials, good articles, things that will encourage men and give them just something to really think about beyond the obvious, beyond the COVID-19, and give them something that to reflect on that will help them when all this is said and done, and maybe even challenges them to look at the condition of their life, the condition of their heart, and why those conditions are a big part of why they're incarcerated. So I wanted to share this with you this morning. Specifically, this one is for my guys. This is for the men. Not that the principles here can't be applied to the women, but this one is going out to you guys. So if the men are not watching right now, if it's the ladies, I encourage you to forward this and tell your guys to watch. Tell your husbands to watch. This one is specifically geared for them. And I wanted to read something here. It comes from a website which I encourage all you fellas to be a part of, called All Pro Dad, allprodad.com. Excellent website. Always has great materials that encourage us men to be a pro in the Lord, to do the very best that we can, not only in sports or work, but to be a pro in our lives, in our spiritual lives. So this one is a really interesting. This is it's titled "The Five Types of Men." Which are you? And I wanted to read this to you briefly and not take up too much of your time, but to challenge you to consider which one are you? Which of these five types are you? So it says this: the five types of men. There are five types of men. Which one are you? I recently had an opportunity to speak at the Iron Sharpens Iron Men's Conference in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and my topic was on man's greatest challenge. I told a group of about 500 men that man's greatest challenge is deciding every day the type of man he is going to be. Without exception, I believe every man has five options. I know this because, unfortunately, I've been all five types. And not just the author, but I can concur. I've been all five types myself as well. And each type of man has an impact on the type of husband, father, and leader he will be. So what are those five types? And which one are you? Let's take a look. The first one is the whiner. This is the man who gets up most mornings and chooses to be paralyzed by his past. He finds it difficult to move forward in life because he's constantly looking backwards. He chooses to blame his present struggles on his past problems. The result is that he becomes what I call a why baby. He asks questions like, why did that happen to me? Why didn't that happen for me? Why him or them, and why not me? A why baby. Think about it. The whiner. Number two is the warrior. The worrier. Let me take that back. The worrier. This is the man who is not paralyzed by his past, but he's fearful of the future because he's constantly looking ahead. He's afraid to move forward. But unlike the whiner, the worrier doesn't ask why because he's too busy asking himself, What if? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if it doesn't happen? What if? The worrier. Number 3 is the waiter. This is the man who is indecisive in the present. He isn't satisfied where he is, and he wants things to change, but he's not willing to make any changes. He's waiting for a miracle or an act of God to change his circumstances or situation. He expects to be rescued and reap the reward with little or no effort on his part. For instance, he wants his marriage to improve, but he's not willing to go to counseling. He wants to just stop addictions, but he's not willing to join a support group. There are many things that he wants. He wants better relationships with his children, but he won't spend time with them. That's the waiter. Number 4 is the wounded. Now, this is the man who lives in isolation and solitude and suffers in silence. He's still hurting from his past. He feels helpless in the moment, and he feels hopeless about his future. He's stuck in shame and guilt, and it's difficult for him to talk about it because he finds it very difficult to trust anyone. He's either too angry, too afraid, or too ashamed to move forward, so he doubts himself, others, and he also doubts God. That's the wounded. And finally, number 5, here it is, the warrior. This is the man who doesn't whine about his past. He doesn't worry about the future. He's not waiting to be rescued from his present situation. He's not afraid of being wounded again because he's more concerned about leaving a legacy. He's willing to fight for his marriage, his family, his children, and his brothers. He's concerned more about his character than his circumstances, his destiny than the detours in his life, and his legacy more than his losses. He's a fighter, and he'd rather die with a spear in the chest than one in his back. His motto is no retreat, no surrender. The warrior. All 5, fellas, I have been, I still am at times, and I'm fighting to not be the first 4 more and more in my life. But it's tough. I get it. I understand. Sometimes I want to whine. Sometimes I want to wait. Sometimes I worry. And you may not see that, but inside, sometimes I do. And that's not a good thing. I want to be more and more a warrior for the Lord, not a worrier. And I ask you, I challenge you to think about it. I'm going to send this article out to you. I hope that you download it, print it out, or view it on your phone and your computer, and really reflect on which man is God calling you to be, even in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. Folks, I love you very much, and I will continue to send you my little videos from my favorite green chair here in the days to come. Take care of yourself.